This is the power supply that I use often, and it's modified from the Corsair VS450 computer power supply. This part at the top is 3D printed, and it's just a front panel used to mount all the connectors and an ammeter here. So I'll now plug this in and turn on the switch on the power supply. So now you can see that there's a red LED which shows that even though the switch is on here, the power supply isn't actually on. To turn it on, you use this switch and it turns green. A quiet fan comes on inside the power supply, and the ammeter shows 0 amps, which is as expected. The red connector is 5 volts, the yellow connector is 12 volts, and the green connector is 3 volts. So I'll connect the red wire to the red connector, and the black connectors are ground. The difference is that the bottom one goes through the ammeter, and the top one just goes directly into the power supply without going through the ammeter, which means that more power can be drawn. And now here I have a 10 ohm power resistor. I will connect black and red to it. It is difficult doing this with one hand. Yeah, and if I move this to the one that goes through the ammeter, you can see that roughly 0.5 amps is flowing, which is expected at 5 volts through a 10 ohm resistor. And if I move it to the 12 volt line, roughly 1.2 amps. 3 volts, roughly 0.3 amps. Inside here are fuses, this one at 10 amps, which is the largest that the ammeter can take, and this one at 30 amps, which is just the largest value fuse I have. These make sure that if I draw too much current, the power supply doesn't break. I have circuit boards at the back, which I use to connect all the components. These components can directly connect to the circuit board, and then the connections between the components are done on the board itself. And then at the very back, connections of all the various voltages are made to the board from the outside of the power supply. This is designed to connect to a computer, so what I did is cut up the wires and split the wires up. Normally the connectors in a computer are made up of various different ones, so maybe a connector to a CPU would have 12 volts, 5 volts, ground, and some other voltage. But I just collected all the wires of the same voltage together and grouped them together. So this is the power supply that I modified. It's actually based off of a video that I found, but the thing I did myself is designing this front panel and 3D printing and ordering a printed circuit board for it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video.